Well, the truth is, I always liked David Clarke. He was reliable, efficient, good-humored. I suppose the fact that he fit in so seamlessly around here, that's what made him so dangerous.
Whatever happens with your investigation, can you make sure that a copy of this interview gets to her? I guess I just want Amanda to know that not every day is a terrible one. Your dad had a good day today, sweetheart. I hope you did too. I love you.
She was going to leave Conrad, and we were going to become a family. Victoria's denying all of it. Okay, well, they must have gotten to her somehow. It doesn't mean anything without proof.
6 months ago, Victoria gave birth to a baby girl. Her name is Charlotte. Ask her who the father is.
Victoria only came to the courtroom twice. Once for the day of her testimony, and then on the day that I was sentenced. On that day, she brought the baby. Charlotte. So beautiful. Her eyes were so familiar. I barely heard the judge when he told me that I would never leave this prison alive. Losing Amanda was hard enough. The thought of losing 2 daughters at once, it was unbearable.
You have to understand the scope of the cover-up. We're talking about people on every level. Prosecutors, defense attorneys, friends, co-workers.
Setting aside the logistics of your theory, why do you think all these people from your everyday life would turn on you so rapidly?
Just promises of power, money, political favors. Think about it. They could put me in here. Imagine what else they're capable of.
Fascinating footage. Clarke seems to be utterly convinced he's telling the truth.
In his twisted mind, he is. The general consensus within the psychiatric community is advanced pathological narcissism.
And no element of his story has been borne out by facts?
Not a shred.
Who we are and who we pretend to be is unwinnable.
Conrad, could you please take Victoria's hand in this next shot? And Victoria, can you please show us the ring? Beautiful. Thank you. So if you had to sum up your quarter-century of marriage, what exactly would you say is your secret? What keeps you two together?
Love and respect. If you keep that in mind, it's impossible not to go through 25 years without experiencing certain things that bond you and make you stronger.
What's the one thing that has bonded you two forever?
I would say the birth of our son, Daniel. Oh, Charlotte, of course.
And you'll be very happy to hear that my editor has promised me the front page of the Life and Leisure section, above the fold. The 25th year in the marriage of the Hamptons' most perfect couple.
Hampton's most perfect couple. I don't know how much more of this I can stomach.
The timing is less than ideal, but the best thing we can do is go about our lives as though nothing's happened.
So, Daniel, 48 hours ago, you were in jail facing a murder 1 charge. Now you're a free man. How you doing?
A lot better than I was 48 hours ago.
Just for the record, did you murder Tyler Barrow?
Tyler threatened my whole family. Next thing I knew, I was knocked out by the guy who finished the job.
We saw you released from Rikers on the news yesterday. Occupy Daniel was even trending on Twitter. Are you surprised not only by the public reaction, but by the vitriol directed at you?
On one hand, yes. But on the other, I get it. People feel disenfranchised and fed up with the privileged minority who seem to abide by their own set of rules. Listen, if anyone commits a crime, no matter who you are, he or she should pay for it.
Speaking of which, the SEC has issued an order of investigation of your family's company, Grayson Global, a company you stand to inherit. Would you like to comment on the allegations of corruption and fraud?
My father is the victim of a witch hunt. The SEC has been harassing my family's company for months and is now attempting to trade on the mistrust the public has of me to build a baseless case against it. In my case, truth came out. The same will be true for my father, who I stand behind as a son and beside as a partner in business as I prepare for my role at Grayson Global.
My daughter, Charlotte. During my confinement, I promised God that if given another chance, I would live in truth. And this starts with the biggest admission of my life. Charlotte is the blessed consequence of my affair with David Clarke. Sweetheart, would you step up here, please? There is one person missing, someone who has seen more bad than good from us, and who has never been scared off. And I wish to welcome her into the fold, along with her child, Amanda Clarke, Charlotte's half-sister.
Amanda, please join us.
To my abductor, and to anyone who thinks they can harm this family again, make no mistake, you will fail. Understood.
Excuse me.
This concludes the press conference. As this is an ongoing investigation, there will be no questions tonight.
My God, they're stronger than ever.
How did you get those injuries?
But the challenges that we have faced as a family have only fortified our commitment to truth, openness, and accountability. That's precisely why we've welcomed you into our home.
Well, I have to say I'm so happy to hear that because my team has just independently confirmed a tip that we received about a long secret pregnancy.
Juju, I'm gonna stop you right there. Apparently, it was only a matter of time before my opponent would use this painful chapter in my wife's past against me. Victoria faced a tragic choice in her adolescence, and I know that if she had the opportunity to do it over, she would obviously have chosen life.
Mr. Grayson, I'm sorry. Just to be clear, are you saying your wife had an abortion?
In 1973, yes. And while we wish we could have kept the matter private, we're not afraid of the truth.
Wait. For the record, Mrs. Grayson, are you now denying that you abandoned a 6-month-old boy named Patrick to enroll in a European art school?
The story is true.
Nightline will be back.
I really should watch more television.
The last time you sat down with Nightline, you had just endured a grueling murder trial. Grayson Global was on the verge of financial collapse. And yet here we are a year later, you're CEO of the family business. You're reunited with your fiancé. And Vanity Fair went so far as to call you this generation's John and Caroline.
I don't know about that last part, but I won't deny I'm thrilled to be back with Emily.
Well, in keeping with your father's platform for transparency, perhaps you'd like to comment on the flip-flop from last year's interview. Back then, you vowed full support for your father, and yet recently there have been reports that you led a coup against him at Grayson Global.
All due respect, and simply the press trying to stir up a story. You know, my father stepped down to focus on his political career, and I humbly filled the vacancy.
The press is clamoring for details about your rekindled romance. You know, when Daniel suggested that you join us for this interview, I asked him if there were wedding bells in the offing, and he said I should ask you directly.
Well, one thing that I've learned is that you never can be certain what the future holds. That being said, I can't imagine an honor greater than joining the Grayson family.
From where I'm sitting, it's a perfect fit.
What is this? No one summoned the press.
Actually, I did. Thank you all for coming. Due to my weakened condition, my announcement will be a brief one. In the past few days since my in-laws brought me home, I have endured more pain than I thought humanly possible. But I believe because of this journey, my memory has returned. There's been much speculation as to who shot me, and I want to set the record straight. It was Lydia Davis. And my husband and I are offering a $10 million reward for her capture. Thank you.
After hours of speculation, we are now moments away from a live statement from the man formerly found guilty of one of the most heinous acts of terror this country has ever seen. Given his David Clarke, once hated, may now be the new symbol of hope and courage.
I prayed for this moment, this freedom. And today, my prayers were answered. And I never imagined seeing this kind of support from a public who had condemned me and a family that I thought had forgotten about me.
Mrs. Grayson, seems your family can't escape the ghosts of the past.
Charlotte and I are focused on the future and getting to know David once again. David has been through a horrific experience at the hands of my late ex-husband, Conrad Grayson, who was an evil, evil man. We all need time to understand and to process. We asked for privacy at this moment so that David could readjust and to be with loved ones and his family.
That's all the questions for now.
The question on all of our minds is, how did you not give up?
Well, there were times when I thought about ending it all. But then the people who wronged me would have won. And I never would have had the chance to see the people that I loved. One of whom is here today. Nolan, come join me.
It's public knowledge that Mr. Clarke and entrepreneur Nolan Ross were business associates years ago. Mr. Ross, welcome.
Nolan was like the son I never had. And I knew his first company would be a success, and it was.
Well, because you had the courage to invest in me.
An investment that paid off. I figured the profits would provide a nice nest egg for my daughter, Amanda. She never got the money, did she, Nolan?
Of course she did. Of course you did.
You lied to her. And you lied to me. And you stole her inheritance.
I gave her all the money that she was owed. What she chose to do with it,
I obtained her financial records. When she turned 18, she was to receive hundreds of millions of dollars. She only got 100,000. That's quite a discrepancy, don't you think?
David, please, this is not the place.
I trusted you. I left the responsibility of my daughter's future in your hands. But while you were out buying custom cars in your own private island, she was scraping by. She worked as a stripper. That you'd betrayed her. That you betrayed me. And for that, I will never forgive you.
Mr. Ross, can you address these allegations?
Not at this time.
Good evening. We're all aware of this scandal casting a shadow over tonight's announcement. The board elected not to name the research wing after my ex-husband because people believe that he broke into my house and tried to attack me. That is the story that I told that night. But none of it is true. The truth is that Malcolm Black was my attacker. He tried to kill me. And Daniel Grayson took a bullet that was meant for me. Daniel saved my life. I am David Clarke's daughter. I am Amanda Clarke.
Your story needs to be told properly, Victoria. Wife to Conrad Grayson, lover to David Clarke, mother-in-law to Amanda Clarke, who married your son, Daniel Grayson, who we now know died a hero.
Yes.
You've had quite an experience the last 20 years.
It has been a very difficult time.
All the more reason to allow my viewing public to support you.
Or you can just hear it from me, Miss Bales.
Amanda Clarke. It's a pleasure.
Not usually a fan of the media.
And yet here you are.
As it seems are you. Here's the deal. I sit down with you for an exclusive interview. Live, tonight. No questions off limits. On one condition. You don't put Victoria Grayson on, ever.
This is such a time. Tonight, we are honored to have Amanda Clarke.
Thank you for finding the time to squeeze me in.
Of course. The whole world is dying to hear your story. Save Victoria Grayson. She didn't seem too thrilled to see you here. Nothing's off limits, right? Your words. Now, what I saw between you backstage was nothing short of animosity.
She and I have had a disturbing relationship dating back to my childhood.
How so?
It started before my father was arrested. Well, Conrad Grayson made sure that my father was convicted. Victoria set her sights on his 9-year-old daughter. Last person in the world who still believed in him. She had me locked up, brainwashed and tortured. Until I stopped believing too.
So, what made you see the light?
My father did. From prison. With words written to a daughter he thought he'd lost forever.
So from the time you took on a new name and a new identity, you knew that you would have to deceive everyone.
Yes.
What did those lies do to the people who cared about you? What was the cost?
The cost? It's high. People like the real Emily Thorne, who died saving her family. Your sisters, right? Right. My half-sister Charlotte, driven to a downward spiral by all of us. Eden Mathis, the one person who really understood what I was doing. The man that I was gonna spend the rest of my life with. Taken from me forever. Sorry.
Now I have to ask, did you ever have to harm anyone physically in order to protect your identity?
Yes.
Did it ever go beyond that?
I would never cross that line.
Sounds like you think you know someone who has. Victoria? It's a strong accusation, Miss Clarke.
I didn't make an accusation. It's on Victoria to take responsibility for her own actions. I do have sympathy for her, though. She was born with a dark soul. We know that she was convicted of killing a man at 15. She only grew more toxic ever since. I knew what she was capable of. She learned the truth.
Do you think it's all over now?
I pray that it is. But deep down inside, I know it's not. Victoria, if you're watching, it is in your hands to end this.